In this video, we will talk about the American Civil War, a comprehensive overview. The American Civil War, fought from 1861 to 1865, is one of the most significant events in U.S. history. This conflict between the northern states, the Union, and the southern states, the Confederacy, was driven by deep-seated political, social, and economic differences, primarily centered around the issue of slavery. Background and causes. The roots of the Civil War can be traced back to the early days of the United States. Differences in economic structures and social systems between the North and the South were evident even before the country gained independence. The North, with its rapidly growing industrial economy, was becoming more urbanized and less dependent on slavery. In contrast, the South's economy relied heavily on agriculture, particularly the production of cotton, which depended on the labor of enslaved African Americans. As the nation expanded westward, the question of whether new territories and states would allow slavery became increasingly contentious. The Missouri Compromise of 1820 and the Compromise of 1850 were temporary measures that attempted to maintain a balance between free and slave states. However, the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, which allowed settlers to decide the slavery issue through popular sovereignty, led to violent conflicts, further deepening the divide. The election of Abraham Lincoln as president in 1860 was the final straw for many southern states. Lincoln was a member of the Republican Party, which opposed the expansion of slavery into new territories. Fearing that his presidency would lead to the abolition of slavery, southern states began to secede from the Union, starting with South Carolina in December 1860. By early 1861, 11 southern states had formed the Confederate States of America, with Jefferson Davis as their president. Key events and battles. The Civil War began on April 12, 1861, when Confederate forces fired on Fort Sumter, a Union fort in South Carolina. This marked the start of a brutal conflict that would last for 4 years and result in over 600,000 deaths. Several key battles define the course of the war. 1. Battle of Bull Run, Manassas. The first major battle of the American Civil War, known as the First Battle of Bull Run, or First Battle of Manassas, as it's called in the South, took place in July 1861 in Virginia. This battle marked the first significant confrontation between the Union, Northern, and Confederate, Southern armies. It was fought near Manassas, a small town in Virginia, close to the Bull Run River. Before this battle, many people in the North believed that the war would be short-lived and that the Union would quickly defeat the Confederacy. There was a sense of optimism, and even civilians from Washington, D.C. traveled to watch the battle, expecting it to be a brief and decisive event. However, the reality of the battle proved to be very different. The Confederate forces, led by Generals Joseph E. Johnston and P.G.T. Beauregard, managed to outmaneuver and defeat the Union forces under General Irvin McDowell. The Confederates received reinforcements and launched a counterattack that caused the Union troops to retreat in disarray. The sight of Union soldiers fleeing the battlefield shattered the North's hopes for a quick and easy victory. The Confederate victory at Bull Run served as a wake-up call for both sides. It revealed that the war would not be over quickly, and that both the Union and the Confederacy would have to prepare for a long and brutal conflict. The battle also exposed the inexperience of both armies, as the fighting was chaotic and poorly coordinated on both sides. For the Confederacy, the victory boosted morale and reinforced their belief that they could defend their independence against the North. For the Union, the defeat was a humbling experience that led to significant changes in military leadership and strategy. After the battle, President Abraham Lincoln appointed General George B. McClellan to reorganize and lead the Union's Army of the Potomac. The First Battle of Bull Run also had a profound impact on public perception of the war. The sight of casualties and the realization that the conflict would be long and bloody shocked the nation. The battle marked the beginning of a much larger and more devastating war than many had anticipated, setting the stage for the years of conflict that would follow. In summary, the First Battle of Bull Run was a pivotal moment in the early stages of the Civil War. It dashed hopes for a quick resolution, revealed the challenges both sides would face and marked the beginning of a long and costly struggle for the future of the United States. 2. Battle of Antietam. Fought in September 1862, this battle remains the bloodiest single day in American history, with over 22,000 casualties. Although it ended in a tactical draw, it gave Lincoln the opportunity to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. 3. Battle of Gettysburg. Fought in July 1863, Gettysburg was a turning point in the war. The Union victory ended General Robert E. Lee's invasion of the North and is often considered the beginning of the end for the Confederacy. 4. Siege of Vicksburg. The Union's victory in July 1863 gave them control of the Mississippi River, effectively splitting the Confederacy in two and weakening its ability to sustain the war. 5. Sherman's March to the Sea. In 1864, Union General William Tecumseh Sherman led a devastating campaign through Georgia, employing a scorched earth strategy that destroyed much of the South's infrastructure and morale. 6. Appomattox Courthouse. The war effectively ended on April 9, 1865, when General Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. Emancipation and the end of slavery. One of the most significant outcomes of the Civil War was the abolition of slavery. On January 1, 1863, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared that all enslaved people in Confederate-held territory were free. While this proclamation did not immediately free all enslaved individuals, it fundamentally changed the nature of the war, making it a fight not only to preserve the Union, but also to end slavery. The passage of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in December 1865, after the war had ended, formally abolished slavery throughout the United States. Impact and legacy. The Civil War had profound and lasting effects on the United States. The immediate aftermath saw the beginning of Reconstruction, a complex and often contentious period during which the Southern states were gradually readmitted to the Union, and efforts were made to integrate formerly enslaved people into society as free citizens. However, the promise of equality for African Americans was far from fulfilled. The end of Reconstruction in 1877 led to the rise of segregationist Jim Crow laws in the South, which institutionalized racial discrimination for nearly a century. The struggle for civil rights and racial equality continued long after the war and remains an ongoing challenge. The Civil War also transformed the nation in other ways. The federal government's power expanded significantly, laying the foundation for a more centralized state. The war also accelerated industrialization in the North and led to significant changes in agriculture and labor systems in the South. The American Civil War was a defining moment in U.S. history. It resolved the question of slavery and set the stage for the nation's future development. While the war ended in the preservation of the Union and the abolition of slavery, it left deep scars that took generations to heal. The legacy of the Civil War continues to shape American society and politics to this day, serving as a reminder of the costs of division and the ongoing struggle for equality and justice. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.